Hi, my name is Michael Guerriero. I'm a principal consultant with HardyGroup International, speaking today with John Mollett and Kevin Hardy. John and Kevin have been consulting in executive search, leadership development programs, and they've been facilitating HDI's top-tier executive learning sets for many years. They both have a wealth of experience to offer, and we'll be speaking today about emerging leaders. We'll be speaking about how to identify emerging leaders and why go through the trouble of developing them at all. John, Kevin, thank you both for coming today to speak about emerging leaders. How do we go about identifying emerging leaders? What are the characteristics that define them?
I think there are a number of ways in which you might do it. The first one is that emerging leaders, by and large, tend to come out of the woodwork. They show an interest in the organisation beyond just the normal. They show an interest in learning more about the organisation and the way it operates rather than just being siloed themselves. They want to learn more about the values that the organisation works to and line up their own values. And they're interested in taking on challenges. So they're always looking to do something different which adds value not only to them but in their own mind starts to add value to the organisation. Now, the art of the good leader is to pick them out from the sycophant. The last thing you actually need is the kind of sycophant follower who likes to project themselves as being the leader of the future. They soon out themselves. It's that person who's genuinely got a real commitment to personal growth and growth within the organisation that you want to start nurturing as a future leader.
In your opinions, why grow emerging leaders?
Well, we know internationally that organisations have a major problem in having a nursery of people coming through into top management. Everyone complains about it. Everyone talks about it in terms of executive search work we do, the leadership development we do, and also the learning sets, that there are just not enough people coming through. But one of the problems is there is no planned approach to developing emerging leaders, to identifying them and developing them. And so we already know that a lot of people will actually leave systems in the next 3 to 5 years. And we do not have that cadre of people coming through ready to take over some of these roles. Now, some of these people will be professional specialists, if you like. Doesn't matter what their career is as a specialist, but they're not people who've had much exposure to leadership and management development. And then you have the people who are more generic managers who are just coming through the system, doing a good job, but they need to be taken to the next step. There's a range of people. Who are the people that we're going to identify? Who are the high potentials? Who are those we're going to fast track? And how are we going to actually do that? So this may involve learning sets, which is one of the things that we obviously have a huge amount of experience in. But it's not just that. How do we actually accelerate the learning of people so that they do understand the context, they do understand the environment, they understand the politics of the organisation, and they know what the core skills are or can learn and are open to learn core skills, things that are going to ready them for the roles. And we do that by exposing people to real work issues. So you have to manage major change initiatives, and you have to prove your worth by successfully implementing change. And you have to learn to be dealing with ambiguity, be flexible, be able to adjust, and be able to influence people. And if you can't influence people, you won't make the top of the tree. Probably won't even get close. You might get to a level which is 3 or 4 rungs below, and that might be absolutely fine, and that's important. People are needed as leaders and managers at all levels, but we need to be acting now, and we need to be doing development work which is locked into what the organisation has to do now, but what it plans to do in the future in order to be successful. So you test people basically in the heat of battle. You throw them straight in, but you build in support around them, whether it's mentors, coaches, work experience, job rotations, learning about strategic financial management, learning people skills, assessing people about their emotional intelligence, but challenging them at all times with appropriate stretch, and they've got to deliver. You can only prove yourself, in my view, through being able to deliver success. But you do need to support these people. You cannot isolate them.
I mean, it sounds as though it would be a massively rewarding type of experience for that emerging leader to go through, to have, I guess this is what's traditionally called a hothouse kind of leadership development type program. Is that what you're describing?
Well, yes, it is a hothouse, but you also have to be able to go with the rhythm of the development process. Some people will develop more quickly than others, and so you have to have a tolerance to deal with that. You also, for those people who decide they don't want to be what the organisation is looking for, you need for them to be able to stop the process, exit gracefully and with dignity, but you also need to be continually looking for ways to expand the talent that you've got in an organisation. So it's a talent management process.
What is the rationale behind growing emerging leaders?
Well, I think people sometimes fail to recognise that public health, whilst it's a public service, is also the largest business in any state or country. I mean, it's a business that consumes almost 50% of the federal resource in Australia, or in most other Western democracies, and certainly in Australian context, 50% of the state revenues. Now, you can't afford, nor should the community expect, that not be well managed in one sense or another. That's not in any way, shape or form to suggest that you're trying to reshape the way clinicians work. But what it's saying is an organisation that, let's take a typical health organisation, $700 million to $1 billion worth of operating capital in a year. I mean, that's big business in anyone's terms. It's the largest employer in any city. It needs to have some kind of structured approach to management. It needs to have high-performing teams, both the mix of clinical and management, that can actually guide that organisation to providing the best level of service it possibly can to its community. Now, you can't do that by haphazardly expecting that managers will grow out of the woodwork. They won't. And so my perception is that it is the responsibility of both people at the state level, the politicians, to recognise that it is a serious management business, and for current CEO people to recognise that one of their greatest responsibilities is to ensure that they leave a legacy of people behind them who are well able to assume their responsibilities or well able to assume responsibilities in similar type organisations. I believe that to be as true in health organisations as it is in our top operating 500 or 200 listed companies.
John, Kevin, thanks very much for speaking with us today about emerging leaders.
Pleasure.
Always good
Pleasure,
to talk
Michael.
to you.